Dance Studios, brought to you by Old Mutual.
Welcome to yet another AMPD Masterclass by Old Mutual. And today's episode is very, very special to me because we're going to be chatting to the managing director of Spotify in the Middle East and Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Claudius Boller.
Thank you very much, everyone. I also give you a big applause for making this effort joining here. And let's get going.
All right, Claudius, thank you so much for joining us. Can you talk us through the Spotify model?
So Spotify really transformed the music listening when it started in 2008. And we believe it has influenced very much the music industry and how music is being not just listened, but also distributed and also monetized. So our mission is really to unlock the potential of human creativity by giving creative artists the opportunity to live off their art, more and more of them. And also by giving fans the opportunity to enjoy and be inspired by these creators. So we're really trying to focus equally on consumers, on your fans, and equally also on the creators, on artists. So far, we have now about 60 million tracks on Spotify, and it's growing by the minute. As you might know, we have about 320 million active users per month on Spotify, with about 144 million of those actually paying subscribers. So Spotify has two models. There's the free tier. Most new users actually enter through this free tier and enjoy Spotify for free. There is no charges associated with this. And then we also have a premium tier where you can pay as a subscription. There's different plans. We can talk about it later, and different options, how people can pay for it, and different offers. And when you start paying for Spotify, you literally don't have advertising interruptions anymore. And also you can use the offline feature. That means all the world of music that you love, like playlists that you follow, can be always at your fingertips in your pocket. And there's a bunch of other features as well once you become a paying subscribers. Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, as an artist, how do I get my music on Spotify?
Well, that's pretty simple. You send us a tape via mail. I can't hear you all laughing about it badly. Of course, that's not the way. There's no way to upload your music directly on Spotify. And the reason for that is that we want to be a platform for everybody and treat and serve everybody equally. And therefore, giving everybody the same opportunity. So what you do is you might either be on a big record label or a small boutique record label, and they will serve that your music releases to Spotify, or you go to an independent distributor who will do the job for you. And it's really your choice. How you do this. So they will do all the licensing, distribution, and they will also pay you. So we don't pay artists directly, as we are paying those distributors. But you can pitch. This is a good thing. So we kind of work with all artists directly through Spotify for Artists, and you can pitch your songs to us. You can use our technology and our data and our tools that we provide. Yeah, you'll see. Then your music is being picked up by the platform, and you see how through Spotify for Artists how it travels literally.
I heard you mention Spotify for Artists. Can you please unpack that, and also let us know how it benefits creators?
Super excited about this. Spotify was one of the first platforms that actually put the power of the art and your productions in the artist's hands by giving you access to all those important and relative data you want to see. I mean, you spend so much time in studio producing so much creative aspects and nuances you're putting in there, and of course you want to know how it's working. To some reflection here, I spent a couple of years working for Universal Music Group, and I remember we were going through royalty reports, and artists were just waiting and seeing how is my music doing. So the beautiful thing now is that through Spotify for Artists, you can know yourself. By signing up to Spotify for Artists, you can use it through desktop, you can use it through a mobile app, which you download from your Android Play Store or the Apple App Store. It's free of charge, so no hidden cost there. And then you can literally see in almost real time how your music is performing across the world. with a lot of interesting nuances. And we encourage artists to use this tool more and more to better understand and learn about their audience. You'll see like what type of music is performing better, in which region is performing better. And so Spotify for Artists gives artists also access to discover similar artists. So you could identify, oh, that's interesting. That guy also makes great music. So it's kind of like stimulates potential collaboration. You see the number of real-time listeners. You see the song performance data to a lot of aspects that will help you make great and better business decisions. And again, you don't need to be signed to a big label to have access to that data. Every artist that has their music on Spotify through a distributor or whatsoever has access to Spotify for Artists. Also on that platform, you'll find lots of interesting guide videos on how to do things. We even have some top A-list artists talking to you how you can actually work with Spotify for Artists. Really want to encourage all of you to check it out.
Fantastic. So now once I've got access, how do I manage my profile on Spotify for Artists?
You probably all know Facebook and Instagram, and it's more easy. So, and the good thing is, the more time you invest in Spotify for Artists and checking it out and updating it from time to time, the faster you grow your fan base. And there's the monetization happening through Spotify, which I guess we also come to in a bit in the session today. So on Spotify for Artists, every artist has a profile, which is kind of your own homepage that you can update with a new picture. You can even have your favorite playlist that you can put there, plugging your own music there, or just music that you like. Your fans might want to know, okay, what inspired this artist and what inspires him right now while he's working on new music, for example. And also virtual concerts, by the way, that you list them there. I want to share one experience. I'm originally from Germany. I left Germany about 14 years ago to spend more time in Middle East and Africa. Been coming and going to South Africa since about 14 years now. And the cool thing is I went back to Berlin once, and I discovered on my Spotify that tonight there's a concert of an artist that I like, which is Jeremy Loops. And I was really surprised. I thought it was really cool. So I went to see him at the concert there. So make sure your stuff is there. There's even a way how you can actually start selling merchandise there. If you have a shop, an outlet, and distribution, of course. And this is what all the big artists do. So you can utilize this. Yeah, so that's how you do it with your profile on Spotify.
Now tell me, what role is Spotify playing in the broader social media environment to assist up-and-coming artists?
Up-and-coming artists, I think we are very, very new artist friendly, where we are trying to not be biased and just look at, okay, what are the usual releases that are happening and promote them big on the platform. And also want to wipe out one of the assumptions that I hear very often is that, well, you have great editors, meaning curators at Spotify, that create probably some of the best playlists in the world because they have so much data, so much information about which are the tracks that are actually like performing very well. So, but the perception that's there is that those guys in Spotify that do the playlist do this all day in and day out. The reality is they're very much data specialists as well and try to understand, like in a human symbiosis, human with the machines and the recommendation of what is the music that is going to be programmed in playlists. And therefore, it's more about trying things, giving tracks a chance and jump-starting them here or there. So again, it's more about understanding the data and how a track performs. To give you an example, let's say you have a home track that has kind of reggae elements in it, right? That track wouldn't find seamlessly its way into a reggae playlist that's trending in Latin America, for example. It needs the human creator to figure that out. So, oh, that's interesting. Let us try it there. Let's plug it in there for a ring and see how it performs. But what you want to achieve is that you link also your social profiles to Spotify. You can do that. So when people go on your profile, they see, okay, here's the link to their Instagram, etc., which is quite important because we're supporting you in building your fan base, not just on Spotify, but also on the other platforms. And we're picking up data. Like the more noise there is on your socials around your music, the better our algorithms understand, okay, there's a lot of noise. Maybe there's a new release from an artist, and helps to elevate your releases. Yeah, it's quite complex. There's, I think, more than 3 billion data points a day that are being collected by all these various systems and platforms. But it's so interesting. It's not about the amount of data, but like what really is that data that makes a difference, and in treating each track equally.
That is insane. We're living in a time where people are very sensitive about their data. So how is Spotify using that data in promotion and discovery as well?
So, okay, data, there is, I just want to like be careful, like what we were talking about. So when we talk about data, so we're talking about mobile data that you have from your telecom provider, because that's a serious issue in South Africa, very much, right? It's very, very expensive. But we're talking about the data that we actually discover about an artist and about the artist's music and how it's performing, and we're serving that through Spotify for Artists. You can see it in real time on the Spotify for Artists mobile app. We actually have artists that check in it 20 times a day when they just kick out a new release. They want to see how is it going. So that data, you can use that to make better business decisions, because it'll tell you. You'd be surprised to see in which country, or just even in which city, actually your tracks are doing very well. We had a chat with Metallica some years ago, and they were saying, look, whenever you go to concert, we just look at the Spotify data and see where is what type of music being favored, which of our tracks, and therefore they create the set list for that. So Seattle, for example, they brought this example, said they just want more of the hard songs. So maybe open with Nothing Else Matters, and then go more to the harder things. But that's just like one area. You'll also see where your audience is. So and therefore go to your touring manager or company or promoter and talk about, well, I think I have a huge following. We had an artist saying, we have a huge following in Durban, but you never presented the opportunity that we can actually go and do a gig there. So you use that information to make better decisions. At the same time, what you could also do is try to find new audiences in new countries. So literally on Spotify, there's no borders. You're talking to a global audience of 320 million people, out of which 144 million today are paying. And it's going to grow. I mean, over the last few years, we had roughly a 30% growth in our user base. And so therefore, if you kind of stimulate with paying a few bucks on Facebook marketing money, or like whatever, you choose the platform where you market your music, why not promoting it, let's say in France? And then just see how it goes. Put a few bucks there and see how it performs. You kind of jump starting then your track in France, if you just use France as an abstract example. And then you see the data and say, okay, well, it's interesting. And if you advertise in 5 countries, you see in which of these 5 countries your track is actually performing better. And therefore, you make better decisions on what are you focusing on. Oh, and a very, very simple one, I should have mentioned this first, is if you release an album, you want to know which are the tracks that are performing best out of your album, and therefore make your decisions on how you are actually investing your efforts and your time when you produce your next album, because you know what's going to fly, you know much better, and things become less subjective. Let the data tell you. And again, trial and error, just try it out. It's very, very simple. It's easier to use than lots of other social media platforms.
And tell me, how hard or easy is it to get a track featured on a Spotify playlist?
Well, so it's there's no secret sauce to it. We have our team of editors looking at new releases. So we are very much into new discovery. We're super keen and looking out for that. The good thing is you don't need to try to call someone, because even if you know someone in Spotify, they won't be able to help you. Also, it wouldn't be fair for everybody else. So we thought for years, and have been involving for years, like what is it that we can provide to an audience equally, that serves the audience equally, because we want to discover those hidden tracks. So in a certain way, you can compete with Drake and Rihanna with your track. The next Despacito or Gangnam Style can come from South Africa with no doubt. And I think the stories that we see with Nasty C being signed to an international label, and we put him on a New York Square, Times Square, New York billboard, actually tells this. This is not because he's a great guy, because he is a great guy, but it's not because the label, we're working a lot with that label actually to make that happen. it's really about the music. So if his music is trending and getting a lot of traction, therefore that will the rest will come seamlessly. So how easy is it to pitch a song? It's you use it through Spotify for Artists. Make sure also that's a recommendation, is that you have, before you kick out your release, before you publish your release, give it ample of time, like 3-4 weeks. Make a plan on what you want to put out there on your social media. Have some images, some stories ready about yourself and about the release, and then think about what is the information that you release, not just on the day, but like throughout this time. And before that, you submit it via Spotify for Artists, and you pitch it through an editor. It's very simple. You can put certain text there. This is about this and that, hashtags and so on. And then our editors will pick it up. You can even choose a certain territory that you feel could be interesting. As I mentioned, if reggae elements in there, you can say, oh, guys, you could check it out. Maybe it has to go in a reggae playlist. Or maybe it would fly very well in Canada or France, for example. So that type of information, pitch it to Spotify for Artists, and we'll have editors then picking it up and trying it out. With trying it out, we mean it's very they try not to be biased and subjective. They're all music experts, but they listen to it and see, okay, that is an edgy track. We'll give it a chance to put it in a playlist. So you might not see it immediately on New Music Friday trending #1, because it takes a few days for a track to pick up and to tell also our algorithms if it's good. And again, it's not the editors who say, oh, that's a good song, because they are off as well. They might think, oh, that's going to do well. And then they still see a track, look at the data. Oh, no, it's actually not performing that well. And the other way around, they're very surprised. Jerusalem, for example, some might have not expected that this becomes such a super phenomenon. So it's about to pitch it to Spotify for Artists, and then tell a little bit of a story about this, and use your social media channels as well, your audience, to promote it.
Cool. And I want to touch on a subject that I hear like almost every single day, but till this day I don't know what they're talking about. What are streams, and how are they counted?
Okay, streams is literally a play of a track on a digital platform like Spotify. So we're counting streams. Fans look at like, okay, look, this track has so and so many streams. Artists look at, okay, I achieved so and so many streams, etc. On Spotify, we're only counting a stream if it's more than 30 seconds, which kind of means, okay, a fan or a listener has listened to the track, he's understood the track. And that's what we're counting as a stream. We are also counting the streams in the offline mode. That's important. But we're also using the streams to determine kind of the market share of each artist. And based on the market share, meaning what share they have of the total plays, the revenue that's being generated is being distributed equally to the distributors and labels, who then pay the artists. Right? An important point to mention is that on the free tier, we're absolutely trying to maximize the monetization and the payout through doing really strong premium advertising with top brands in the tech scene and fashion, lifestyle. You see them advertising on Spotify. So those revenues are also in the same way distributed to artists. So it doesn't mean that if somebody is just playing since 2 years on Spotify free, that this doesn't generate any money. This money is being paid out. And for your information, so far Spotify has paid out 19 billion euros to the creative community.
I heard you mention MasterClass, Nasty C, Jeremy Loops. How else is Spotify helping to promote local and African artists, to the globe?
Well, I'm so excited about it because we have really outstanding success stories right in front of us, but there's also like thousands of smaller success stories that are surrounding this. So just by the nature on what I explained, how the digital system is set up. Now, and let's say an artist in South Africa releases a track, puts a little bit of noise out there, maybe has some interview coming to AMP Studio talking about it, and there's the following picks up on it in a very short period of time. Then the algorithms see, okay, there's a track spiking. And there's a lot of noise on viral, meaning on social media, which is also connected to Spotify. Then other algorithmic playlists will also pick it up. So we have, for example, viral charts, which is a dynamic playlist. So there's no editor managing it. It just picks up on viral inputs, which tracks are trending very much. So if then, like in the top viral tracks in South Africa, if a track trends very, very fast and ranks high, then even a global viral top 50 playlist could pick it up easily. And this is also how editors look at the data. So we recommend always to pitch a track and pitch for playlist inclusion. But this is kind of a way. So just by the pure nature of how Spotify is set up, since we launched in South Africa 2.5 years ago, we have seen more and more examples, because now you have your fan bases in South Africa that you can activate to drive the traction within a very short period of time. So that's just like one important element on how your music can travel, not just travel the world, but kind of conquer the world. Then the next element, what we are trying to do is very much not to just pick a handful of artists that are already big and give them to a world stage. We're really looking at all stages where artists are in and giving them opportunities. One opportunity is our Radar program, which is a global program, which it is a global playlist as well. And we are supporting artists to be entering into this global playlist. By supporting them on the ground, I think with Elaine, we've done a merchandise drop. So we gave her some great Spotify Elaine co-branded merchandise that she gave it to our fans and so on. You might want to think about the global audiences as well. Think about a subscriber on Spotify in the UK is roughly paying 3 times the amount for a subscription than in South Africa. So put an outlook there. See like how can you actually reach to people across the world.
Cool. Now, it's no secret that piracy has been a major issue in the music industry. How is Spotify combating that?
Yeah, it's interesting because Spotify, as a Swedish company, literally started when piracy was rampant, or just before that, it was absolutely blooming and kind of reduced the revenues of the music industry. And because it was so much more convenient to go to piracy. But now, since we have Spotify free that anyone can start using right away that has a smartphone, and therefore there is no need to go to piracy, because it is such a better solution. On Spotify free, you have full access to the 60 million plus tracks. All the same amount of music and tracks are there. The same 4 billion plus playlists are there. So I think that just by the nature of how Spotify is set up and how convenient the digital ecosystem now has become, it already contributes a lot. Plus, it's not convenient. I'll give you one example. The playlists that you have, they keep on updating seamlessly. Whenever you're connected, playlists keep on updating themselves, the ones that you follow. So let's say you follow like some top 5 artists that you like, and also you have some artists of some friends that you follow that you have kind of subscribed to, right? Even on Spotify free, whenever you're connected, they're being updated seamlessly in the background. That you don't have it with piracy. You will always need to manually look for the next thing. Another point is that we are very much against exclusives. If tracks go on exclusives, you're excluding a huge audience of fans of yours that want to listen to your music. So this is why we encourage artists to actually make their music available as best as possible on all the digital platforms. And through Spotify for Artists, you can work directly with Spotify to be at the forefront, then speak to your audiences, to your fan bases about where to find your music, where to follow it, build your following there, so that in the future, none of your new releases are being missed. And I want to acknowledge that in many countries, there hasn't been different options. So there was no way for music to just like flow easily to the ears, especially for new music. But now there is no time for piracy anymore. There is no advantage for piracy anymore. But it needs a lot from all of us to educate the audiences there.
I want to move to a subject that's very close to my heart, which is podcasting. We've seen major deals, for Joe Rogan with Spotify. What's the plan in terms of the vision and mission in Africa with regards to podcasting?
Well, we see great success with podcasts across the world. And here exclusives are a different thing. So we have a few exclusive podcasts that are only available on Spotify. And by the way, they're also made available for free. So therefore, on Spotify free, you can also listen to them for free. And I think it's important that to appreciate the podcast element, that this also helps driving users to use Spotify as a music service seamlessly and equally. We're seeing great success in South Africa because there's a lot of producers. I know John from AMPD is already having a bunch of podcasts out there that are great. There's a lot of original content being created, which all is on Spotify in the country. We see, if I may talk about engagement around podcasts, South Africa is higher than a bunch of developed markets, which is very, very encouraging. And I'm looking forward for the next years to see even more local productions are happening and to increase also the support level of ours. It's more like on the educational front, making it tangible to produce a podcast. But I also want to note that we have a platform called Anchor, again, another free app that you can download right away, where you press a record button and you record your podcast right away. And it's not just then ending up just on Spotify, but also on other podcast platforms. Also in the future, I think the monetization is going to be interesting on the podcast front, because that's only about to increase.
As a whole, what is the vision for Spotify in Africa? What are you guys trying to achieve? And how can we assist you guys in achieving those dreams?
I love the question. Look, we are all in this together. I know there's a lot of thoughts, and I hear that question again. How do you see yourself against the competition, etc.? It's not about competition. The biggest competition is just like piracy, and that users are not aware how convenient digital music streaming is, or digital audio streaming itself. So we are all in this together, and we need to like shape this ecosystem. As artists, you're not competing with each other in these genres. You kind of, if you think you're competing against an artist, it's more like maybe Drake, like big international artists, because they're equally available in South Africa, right? So it's all a kind of like, where's your share? How can you grow your share of attention and time from fans and listeners in the future? But also, it's our job as Spotify to grow the audience base, so we can do this together. You have great loyal fans with you. The more they follow you on Spotify, the more they engage with you through Spotify, regardless if they're paying subscribers or not yet. It's going to drive your data forward, make your businesses stronger, which makes you be able to invest more and get more return of invest. And therefore, building that fan base, we need to do it seamlessly. So we're focusing on PR. We're working with artists, like these things with Nasty C, that he's on Times Square in New York on a Spotify billboard. Really talks about very much about like what's our ambition is to elevate African culture to a global audience. That music is so creative, and those like Amapiano is just outstanding genre that will still have to see a great success story across the world. It started already big time, but it will grow even further, right? So, and I think this is really encouraging. We are very happy with how we're growing in South Africa. It's very much above our expectations, I have to say, and this is why we continue investing even more in the next couple of years, and growing the support teams, growing the technology, adding new features. And if I may want to look back, when we looked at South Africa, since we touched base on data from mobile carriers, we have launched a light product. So I think it's about like 10, 11 megabyte. When you download the app, it has like almost all the same features as the full Spotify app that's available in South Africa for smartphones that don't have that much data capability and that are not that new. And that's how we look at South Africa and other markets to support them better. But also we have a low data saver feature where in 1 hour it consumes less than 11 megabytes of data, which is extremely low. If you might want to compare that to some music video streaming platforms who are like 20 times more than that. or other platforms are at around 50 megabytes. So it's about technology as well that we need to bring forward to help new audiences make this first move and start converting and going over to Spotify, or just to start with digital music streaming.
Claudius, once again, thank you so much for your time. It's not every day that you get to talk to the managing director at Spotify. We're going to take a quick ad break. When we come back, we're going to take some questions from the audience. Are you ready for them?
Totally ready. Bring it on.
AMP Studios brought to you by Old Mutual.
Making a new these days, go rough. Just ask that guy. So that's why you need Old Mutual rewards. They're lifing. See, these guys actually reward you for being clever. Anybody can join, and it's free. It's my son's birthday tomorrow, so let's earn some points. Now turn my points into cash, and they send a voucher. Then just shop, show, and scan.
The time is now. Sign up for free to Old Mutual Rewards today.
Hi, I'm Sam.
I'm also Sam.
Meet my little Sam. Only the best for my son.
Sam! I'm Sam! This is Sam, live.
I'm Sam.
No two people are the same, so why should their cover be? New personal cover from Old Mutual lets you build the cover that's right for you and your budget. And it's easy to change as your life does too. The time is now to get personal cover that's just for you. Speak to your financial advisor today.
AMP Studios brought to you by Old Mutual.
Welcome back. It's time to take some questions from the audience.
What happens if you have two artists from different regions, right? And they have the same name and they do the same genre. So how do you distribute the money to those artists?
Cool question. Do you have that case? You have an artist that uses or has your name?
Yes, I do actually.
Well, look, our team is there. If you log on to Spotify for Artists, you can write to the team and say to clarify that. So we're going to make sure that each track is unique and is only, so all the streams are being accounted for this track, and therefore monetization is being paid out accordingly. So nothing to worry about, but this is kind of the basic housekeeping. You want to make sure that under your profile, the one that you have access to via Spotify for Artists, and you can also speak to your distributor or label to help you sort that out. We'll fix that. No issue.
I'd like to find out, with all the vast different distributors all over the world, how can one I can think of maybe would be United Masters or Chunko. How can you see if this is a legit music distributor for Spotify?
It's a pressing question for a lot of artists like you guys out there. So if you go into Spotify for Artists, there is some preferred partners that we have listed there, that you can use, that you can go to. That would be the first route to take, because there you can make sure that they treat you fairly. They have standardized contracts. They pay out in time, etc. They also provide you probably some type kind of data and updates, etc. Still, I want to encourage you to use Spotify for Artists directly to track the streams, etc. You want to use that in your discussions when you're speaking to distributors or your label, to say, okay, this is my performance. How do you see that? How can we improve that? Because they have the similar discussions with other artists, right? They can help and guide you. The data is yours, but bring it forward and use it. Also speak to fellow artists. You're not very much competing with each other. It's really about, we're all in the same boat. So the more you guys as artists with producers, sound engineers, etc., and managers working together to just find best practice, what works for you, because the service level of all these various different distributors and labels is extremely different, which is more of it shouldn't scare you. It's more about, you get everything from, there's a platform that just puts my music on all platforms but does zero communication, promotion, and whatever, but therefore they pay out probably the entire royalties for just a very small fixed fee. And on the other hand, you have major labels, if you're the type of artist that just wants to focus to go and produce music in the studio. But there's like so many different types of distributors and labels in between. They offer very much different services. And that is kind of like in a relationship, it's your choice, your call, and you're also like encouraged probably to try different things. And what works best for you is a very individual decisions or choices. But speak to the community, speak to other artists, share best practice.
Hi, I wanted to ask, if a brand new artist who just recorded their first single and doesn't have much of a following yet wants to start building a fan base on Spotify itself, so not a local one, but a digital fan base, what's the best way to be discovered?
So, and here you are, the trick is that you do not have an existing fan base at this stage. So once your track is ending up on Spotify or like becoming published on Spotify, you might have 0 plays. So the system has no information about if this track has potential to grow fast or not. So one thing for sure, pitch it on Spotify for artists. Tell your story there, new release, new artist, that's my story. And these are the territories that I feel this might be a great track in. So use that, because that goes to our editors. Our editor team is huge, and they're all over the world, and they will ideally pick it up, and then plug your track in many playlists. It might not be immediately visible to you, but in Spotify for Artists, you can see in which playlists your track is actually in it. So this will be a bunch of algorithmic playlists. So this is just like the basics. The next level on where to get to would be to actually jumpstart the track through marketing activities, right? Leverage, if there's zero fan base at the moment on an Instagram account or Facebook or whatever, then it's difficult. But if ideally there is, and then you activate this fan base and direct them onto Spotify so they become fans and sign up. And the sooner the track actually gets more plays, the system realizes, okay, there's not many skips. The track is played full time. It's being added to a library. It's being shared a lot, etc. So these are indicators for the system to actually give it more opportunities to grow into other algorithmic and dynamic playlists, and also then for editors to be picked up. So what you can do is take some money in the hand and to jumpstart. And I think it's interesting because when you produce, you spend a lot of time and money to produce. In the studio, record, you maybe do a photo shooting, get a haircut. There's a lot of things you invest in. Therefore, you also need to invest in building your audience. Put some money, maybe even advertise it in the US. Put $50 down or $100 and just see how it performs, because it will tell you, oh, too bad the track wasn't discovered. But at least you want to try and jumpstart the track and give it a chance.
Hi, John here. Claudius, I wanted to just ask you, one of the questions, we work closely with this AMP community, and often I find there's a desperation for people to get signed by a label. And, Spotify has sort of negated the need to do that. You can become your own distributor. My question is, how does Spotify treat independent artists different from a label? And is there any advantage to doing it through a label rather than doing it independently?
Honestly speaking, we try to treat every artist equally, regardless on which channel they're coming through, and if they are like a big artist or a small artist. Nevertheless, there is priority releases where we look at, okay, these are big international artists, and so that they get their placement in playlists. But you see a Rihanna track, if it's not performing that well in a certain country, but your track is performing better, meaning less skips and more plays and more ads and more shares, and then can overtake and move up. So there is no artificial intelligence behind it to actually support major labels over indie content, right? So that is very, very important to know. So it's absolutely equal. The only one thing is that from time to time, we try tests with a few labels. Right now, we just started a new test, and I think we do this with indie labels. We actually don't do it with major labels because we constantly try new things. That's just what we do, because we need to see like how can music be better discovered in the future. But so, as you mentioned, there is the desire of artists to be discovered by a major label. Well, it's really up to you, what works for you. If you have a great team that covers a lot of things, then you're fine with a simple distributor. But if you feel you need the complete full house support of a major label, then maybe that's the route that you want to take. But in the end, the content, we're treating it equally on Spotify, yeah.
I'm curious here when it comes to how the revenue is actually generated, right? Is there, I know about the app when artists can kind of track how they are doing, but can they also track the revenue that they generate, that they make from the streams, whether offline or not? That
is the relationship that the artist has with their distributor or their label, right? So they look after the payout. We pay out seamlessly as per the play share that somebody has. So you need to think about it. There's two tiers. There's the free tier where there's advertising money generated that gets into a complete pool. And that pool is split by the artists equally, and then respectively to their distributors or labels, where we pay out this pool, the majority of that money. And then also there is a pool for all the premium subscription revenues that are being collected. So the majority of that is paid out to the publishers as well as to the labels and distributors as per the share. So on a monthly basis, this is being allocated. On Spotify for Artists, you don't see the payout because that is something that the label will tell you. So it's not that we're hiding that information, but you want to like look at the stream counts that you have on Spotify for Artists and then benchmark this against. But we don't know how much advertising revenue. We roughly know how much we make in the next quarter. That then suggests what's happening there. But if we strike a great deal with a big refreshment drink company, then this will be additional revenue and there will be more money to be distributed in the next quarter, right? So it's difficult to say. Also, the user base, as it's growing, let's say you have 50,000 streams and your best friend as an artist has also 50,000 streams, but he has more streams from the US, then probably that would be more money than if your fan base, these 50,000 streams are more coming from South Africa. So there's a lot of factors here that kind of determine what the payout is. The thing is, we are completely transparent as a company. We have certain tools and mechanisms in place that also we are paying out equally, and therefore, believe very much in that this is a very fair model for everybody.
My question is, you spoke about your playlisting being a mixture of both human as well as algorithm. So what I wanted to understand is, within localized regions, when you're trying to understand more about that, how do you grow the human aspect of the playlisting part of your, the playlist when you're doing within localized regions?
We see some playlists are doing extremely well, some are not doing that well, and therefore we are like focusing, and the ones that do very well, they get more frequently updated. And we're growing our team as we grow our audience and user base on Spotify. So the human element, we always try that this is in a very good balance with the data. But the good thing is, the amount of data, even if it's more and more data, meaning more consumption and usage coming in, it doesn't seamlessly mean that we need to also then triple the team to actually cope with that. Because it's more about what we look is not which are the tracks that are the best in terms of having the most number of plays. It very much matters in what time that's happening. So if a track spikes in just a day, like by a great amount, then this will be automatically flagged to an editor, and he has the opportunity to plug it in. So into certain playlists and give it a chance there and let that track travel across different playlists. That is really the art.
My question is, well, to give you context, the strength of Spotify obviously exists in the fact that you can target users because you know, or you can build a very accurate footprint of their listening history. And assuming in lockdown, a lot of people might have stayed together or lived in households together, you might have had an amalgamation of users. In my example, my wife started infiltrating my music taste, so we basically are a user for Spotify. What kind of measures are you guys putting in place to create that unique user experience so that you can build that precise user? Or do you find more and more user groups being blurred together?
Honestly, there is no user groups being blurred together. I mean, there is not a person that is creating just your user experience. It's done very much by the algorithm, by the system, by looking at all the data inputs. But this is like the result of refining this for years and also applying very much machine learning technology in order to get there. So how does it start? Is relatively simple. If you're just signing up to Spotify for the first time, each country, sometimes each county has a different taste onboarding, is what we call it. So it's like some pre-configured artists and genres that make sense, that are relevant for this particular country. So when you sign up for the first time, you get to select a few things that you like. There's a great mix of international and local artists that you then can select. And as soon as you start playing, every action you do, like you play, how long you play, when you skip, what you add to a playlist, what you share with a friend, it starts to map kind of the behavior there in an anonymous way, and therefore learns from you. So the more you use Spotify, the more the user experience is becoming more tailored. It gets messy. Like in my case, my daughter uses my playlist as well, so I have tons of kids songs as well, and then it becomes messy. It really doesn't work. But that's really what's happening. And in this case, by the way, we have a family plan that we launched in South Africa where you can get 6 accounts under the umbrella. It's just, I think it's 60% more expensive than the standard subscription. It's a great deal. We also launched a dual plan, 30% more expensive. It's for couples or two people that live together under the same roof that can sign up to. And then you keep the accounts separate so it doesn't get too messy, like in your case. Sorry.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I think this has been a very fruitful event, and congratulations with everything that you're doing.
All right, Mac, John, it's been a big pleasure being in South Africa somehow, and being with the great fans there of Spotify and great artists. So we love your support. Keep it up, guys. I'm on the next plane coming back down to South Africa as soon as the situation betters. I know you're all going through a tough time probably, and I wish you all the very best. Stay safe, stay connected with Spotify, and reach out to our team using Spotify for Artists, pitch your tracks, and good luck. Stay safe.
Music has changed. How it makes us feel never will. The time is now to visit mstudios.co.za.